Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here tonight to recap some SEC action. Technology did not show up in our favor tonight, Blake, and you know what else didn't either? Ole Miss's defense.
Well, I mean, they got Jayden Daniels. I think that's probably the best way to put it. I don't know how else you could even say it. Like, he just, I told you he was on my underrated list coming into the week, I guess, or whatever we did with our midseason awards. But that was coming off a 6 touchdown game. And I was like, I don't think he'll score 6 touchdowns again in this one, but he got close. And yeah, I mean, he was incredible again. And I think it's pretty clear now that, when we started talking about the best quarterbacks in the league, he's there. And Ole Miss got off to a great start, but beyond that, second half it was all LSU, 28-0 in the second half, and it was it was all Jayden Daniels in terms of just making a lot of plays, and Ole Miss just could not make those plays in the second half. Again, got off to a nice start, but I think once LSU kind of settled down a bit and kind of gained the momentum, I just don't think you really ever had the confidence at Ole Miss to gain it back. I think it was just you saw this as going in the completely opposite direction, and I think once LSU took the lead, I mean that was midway through the third quarter. I'm watching that game and thinking that might be it because I didn't have the confidence in Ole Miss because you could tell LSU was just playing better at that point of the game, and so yeah, I mean, give LSU all. I told you I picked Ole Miss in this game, and I was like, I think maybe they find a way to run the ball and are able to find a way to win, but no, that didn't happen. That was this was all LSU playing some pretty good football, and like you said, Jayden Daniels just could not be stopped.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, Blake, I think the play that changed the game more than any of them was the throw to Jeray Jenkins, which was probably his worst throw of the game. Jenkins made a great adjustment with two DBs there. It was kind of one of those better to be lucky than good plays. I mean, but goodness, I mean, and don't take that the wrong way. Jayden Daniels was phenomenal, but it just was ironic how I thought the biggest play of the game might have been his worst play, and it was the one that was, I think, the one that changed everything.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of plays. I think you look back at that game, and on the flip side of that, I think Ole Miss just, man, they just made some plays that you just can't, just missed opportunities and just made plays you can't make in some of these. I mean, let's be honest too. I mean, we talk about the offense for LSU, but the defense, I mean, the pressure they were able to get on Jackson Dart, it seemed like every time I looked up, Jackson Dart was throwing, I mean, it almost looked like a bad pass, right? But I mean, it's just, and some passes were not, clean by any means, but some were just, he had a guy just right in his face. And I think that again goes back to that LSU defense that we talked about, that front and their ability to cause that disruption. And they did not make anything beyond, really, when you think about it. I guess the first quarter, um, they didn't really make anything easy on Ole Miss's offense, and I think that was a big difference maker too, without question, in this game, because it was not easy at that point. And it's one of those things we talked about. I mean, Judkins put up his 100-yard rushing game, which you just kind of expect at this point. But I said, I thought Jackson Dart had been playing better. I think you saw some of the good from him in this game, but you also saw some of the bad. And in a game like this, you've got to have, here's the deal. Like one side had Jayden Daniels, one side did not, and that was kind of what this came down to. He just made all the big plays when he had to make them, and Ole Miss just did not make those same plays when they were, when this game got tight, when it got close. It was just, he was the difference maker, and that's what kind of catapulted LSU to obviously their biggest win of the season thus far. And once again, Chris, if we look ahead, we said LSU wins this game, they control their own destiny. And now, circle that game against Alabama, which looks even bigger now, depending on how things play out from here. So,
if not for Hendon Hooker, I'm wondering if Jayden Daniels is legitimately at the forefront of the SEC Player of the Year competition after the last 2 weeks.
I mean, he's had 11 touchdowns the past 2 weeks,
Right.
right? So, I mean, he's got to be up there. I don't see how he wouldn't be. No, I mean that's the thing is, and look, I'm going to keep repeating the same thing I've said since I don't know when. I mean, this is just a team that you've seen. Like the entire team, I think, has gotten better.
Yeah,
But you obviously include him into that mix, right? Like you want to talk about the comfortability. I don't know if that's a word, but the how comfortable he was in game one. Whatever, early in the season, early September, to where they are now. I mean, it's just a huge difference. And I think that again, I think that speaks to what Brian Kelly has done with his team. And, we said coming into the season, I think the thing about this LSU team was when you looked at the entire roster, you saw some of the high potential in certain areas, but you still looked at it and said, I don't know if that's an LSU, SEC championship, national championship type roster that we're used to seeing at times. Um, but man, I mean, here we are, right? Like midway
yeah.
point of the season, over it now. I mean, they are SEC championship. Like they're in that discussion right here with an opportunity to get there. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that again speaks to what they've done as a staff to get this team way far away from what they were in game one to what they are now. That's all you can do. You can just develop your program, develop your players, and again, give them a lot of credit for doing that.
The other thing is they found a running game now. It's not just Daniels, but Josh Williams has been solid back to back weeks.
Yeah.
That makes your offense a whole lot more functional when you can scare people both ways.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing, right? If we look ahead, which is what we do when we start looking ahead. I mean, to get a win like that now, if you're LSU, you go into the bye. You kind of erase that Tennessee game now by getting this one the way that you did in convincing fashion. You kind of erase everything that happened with that Tennessee game. Coming off of putting up 45 points in back-to-back games here against Florida and Ole Miss, and now you get another week to be able to prepare for this Alabama team, which by the way, right now is just routing Mississippi State. So anything we did to try to say that this series history could change as of this moment, it's 21-0, and midway through the second quarter. So it's not looking great for State at the moment. But so that if you assume now, let's say Alabama wins this game, which it'll still be going on by the time we finish this video, but I mean, this sets up, I think scheduling wise, right? Perfect time to get your bye. Now you get all that extra time to prepare for Alabama. And then from there, we're not going to say it's going to be easy because, you certainly you got that one. You go to Arkansas, and then you've got A&M. Both of those Arkansas A&M games are on the road for LSU. So those are going to be, challenging just because of their road games. Although, speaking of another team that's struggling right now, A&M is
Well,
it's 17-3 midway through the first quarter there, South Carolina in their favor. So, I mean, if you're LSU, I don't know what else you can ask for sitting right here in this very fine spot heading into the bye. So,
yeah, South Carolina looks like it's going to put A&M through the turf early here. You know what? I'll tell you what. Next in line, the biggest winner today was probably Tennessee, because now that win in Baton Rouge looks even better. We can get into the Vols for just a minute, although there's not much to talk about. I don't think Tennessee kind of did exactly what we thought Tennessee would do, and it put up 50-something, 51 points before half. But let's talk Ole Miss for a minute. That defense, we wondered, was that just a product of early schedule, or was it legitimately good? Unfortunately, I think for the Rebels, we're starting to get our answer because they gave up 545 today.
yeah, I mean, I think, uh, I think they're certainly not where you want to be, especially these past, like I said, what we've seen in recent games. But I also look at this game in a kind of a different maybe manner, although the theme is still there, like you said, especially with the yardage given up and just what LSU was able to do. Again, running the ball, especially from Jayden Daniels' standpoint. You talked about Williams; he's been able to start playing better and those kind of things. But it's clearly something that has to be talked about now with Ole Miss moving forward, because that is again the difference. and being able to win these kind of games. And we've seen, we talked about it, Chris, even in for a certain portion of that Vanderbilt game. And I said that was one of the reasons, I picked Ole Miss, but I was like, I was hesitating because I said, if there's anything that gives me a little bit of, hesitation here, it's the fact that they've had stretches where they just have not looked great, even in the Vanderbilt game, the old Auburn game, and now, again, pretty much the entire second half here against LSU. That consistency has not been there, especially on that side of the ball. So that is something where, maybe you get a little reprieve going to A&M next weekend, because I don't know if that's the team. Although they do have A-Chain, and there's some things they could do perhaps to test them there. But you're talking about an Ole Miss team that we said the back half of their schedule is where things are going to get not very fun. And you've still got Alabama. You got to go to Arkansas, which we know that's a team that can run the ball with Jefferson or Sanders. We know they could put up 300 yards rushing against you. And then they've still got to play Mississippi State. So, some challenging offenses that Ole Miss is going to play the rest of the way. And that's why we really will see what this team is made of coming off of this kind of loss. Because again, the final four games here are not going to be easy. And specifically, I think you've got three very capable offenses that can put up some points. So,
and for Ole Miss, that one really hurts because now, well, they did beat Kentucky, and that's going to still have some cachet, but. I think a lot of times when you don't play a challenging schedule and you win games, you lose one like that, and people say, "Oh, it was all a fraud." I would not go that far. I think Ole Miss is still a good football team. It runs the ball very well. Defensively, obviously, is not as strong as we thought it might be after some of those easier games. And I think you still have some questions about Jackson Dart today too.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I always hate, and you said it. Like I hate when you play the fraud game because essentially
These are
you're
good
not.
teams. These are
Well,
good
you're
teams
not
in this
giving
league.
credit to the team that
Right.
won, and I think
Right.
you're kind of diverting the credit there a little bit. And that's like I said, I will 100% tell you. Like I was, I thought this would be a really good game, but I could not have saw this coming in terms of just me and looking at this game and trying to dissect how it could play out. I wouldn't have seen a 25-point LSU win, because I just thought Ole Miss would be able to, kind of answer the challenge here, even if it was a game that, it was a close game. Well, midway through the third quarter, like I said, LSU just took over from there. But I think it's fair to have questions about Ole Miss now. I mentioned, Dart recently. I said I think he's playing a little bit better, but this was kind of one of those games where you saw some of those plays. I think you pointed that out, Chris, where we were talking about it maybe on the live stream on Wednesday. He does still make some of those plays that you just cannot make. And a couple of those. What was it? The interception in the end zone. I think again, I can't remember. I think he may have got hit on that, but ball was just. It was underthrown, maybe even in that scenario. But again, those are the kind of plays in these tight games that you just cannot afford to make. And the defensive aspect, and we'll see. We still know what their rushing game is capable of, and I think that still, is going to be the strength of them. But when you get in games like this, right, where if you start to get down by double digits, you're going to have to throw the ball. And, Mingo can make plays and all that. And, he goes for 4, I think, for 69 in this game. But, Heath had a big game, of course, 145 yards receiving. But, the schedule does Ole Miss no favors now, whereas before, that's what we talked about. We said the schedule, even if they were to not play their best football at times, they're probably still going to win most of these games they play, if not every game they played up to this point. And now it's like that margin for error is way smaller than it was in some of these previous games. So,
okay, we got 2 more games to talk about quickly in our home state of Tennessee. I don't know what you can say about the Vols today, other than the only question I really had is, could Tennessee have scored 100 if it had to? They had 50, was it 51, 52 at half? Joe Milton played the entire second half. Of course, the offense looks different when he's in there. Tennessee did give up some points, which I wasn't totally surprised given who it was playing and the circumstances it was coming off. I don't know that we took anything away from Tennessee's performance today. The Vols, of course, are still unbeaten. I said the biggest thing that I learned about Tennessee today was that LSU win was more impressive than, I'm not going to say than we thought, but we wondered, right? We wondered a little bit about LSU. So that one's got a little bit more luster. The Vols' resume is awfully, awfully good. If you're looking at who Tennessee beat and how Tennessee beat those teams. But anyway, what can we say about Tennessee today? Hendon Hooker sets a record, I think, for consecutive games with touchdown passes, and Tennessee kind of did what was expected of it today.
Well, Tennessee got outscored in the second half, Chris.
Well, there was that.
I'm obviously kidding, like you said, a 52-7 at halftime. But yeah, I don't know what we say about this. This was exactly what you expected. I think I said coming in, I wouldn't be surprised if UT Martin scored some points, just because you could see that, in this scenario. I think, knowing that Tennessee was going to put up a ton, and UT Martin was probably going to have to throw the ball a ton. I think Dresser Wynn threw it 45 times. And yeah, this played out exactly as expected. 65 points for the Vols. I think that was the highest since 2000. That was a little surprising to me. I don't know why I
Wow.
would have thought they would have put up some more points than that. I think I saw that somewhere. But yeah, I mean, the game you expected from Tennessee. One guy you didn't mention, Jalen Hyatt, doing his thing again.
Yeah.
7 for 174 and 2 touchdowns. My goodness, yeah, this guy, and of course, again, Cedric Tillman did not play in this one, which, as we said, that was going to be the case, and yeah, so we will see. But the Vols did what they had to do, and now prepare for what I think is an interesting matchup at home against Kentucky. We'll see what the Cats can draw up there for the Vols next week.
Okay, Vandy, Missouri. A lot of people probably weren't watching that. I got to see a lot of that one. Boy, Vandy almost snapped that losing streak. Vandy's offense was awful today. The defense finally showed up. Vanderbilt called a more aggressive game today, but just could not do anything on offense. A.J. Swan, I guess, got hurt. The
I was going to ask
announcers
you
didn't
about
really
that.
say.
I didn't.
I never heard an announcement on that in the game. I was searching Twitter afterwards a little bit. Didn't immediately see anything. So yeah, that one was. I think if Missouri had lost that one, Eli Drinkwitz would have been in really hot water tonight. But the Tigers kind of held on. Vandy had a defensive touchdown, and maybe the defensive play of the year. Did you get to see that one?
Yeah, I saw it.
That was crazy.
That was something.
Yeah.
I think Drinkwitz is probably still. I still don't think you come away from that if you're a Missouri fan. Feeling great about
those were two not very good football teams.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, I think the Swan thing's interesting. I mean, maybe just assume. I guess he got hurt. I don't have any idea. But I told you coming in. I thought Missouri could win this game convincingly. But give Vanderbilt credit. They made some plays there down the stretch to be able to, to make it interesting, and certainly have a chance. What I thought was on that fourth down call, Chris, I will never understand it. I've said this many times before. When you have a short amount of yardage to go and you take the ball back a certain amount of yards to try to go back to get, it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a mathematician, as I've said before, but I will never understand that strategy. But didn't work. And yeah, I just look, here's the deal with Vanderbilt. I don't even know that I ever gave a thought, Chris, to them winning this game. You and Blayne talked
I
about it.
didn't either.
I never, I just didn't. And I think it's just because we know kind of what the state of the program is at the moment. You've seen some things. They've won 3 games this season, right? And I mean, they were not going to come into the SEC season, in my opinion, favored in any SEC game they played. They're 0-4 to this point, and I mean, who have they got left? They got South Carolina after the bye. I would have to believe, and this is not knocking South Carolina, but yeah, that's right, Rusty. I'm not. So I don't even know if I look at that one, Chris, at this point as a possibility, just given what we've seen from South Carolina in recent weeks.
No, I
But
think Vandy's done.
I just don't, South Carolina at Kentucky, Florida, and Tennessee. I just don't see it. I don't really see a path to another win again, barring South Carolina just not showing up. I think those last three are going to be tough. So yeah, it's just it is what it is right now, and I know there are a lot of frustrated Vanderbilt fans, and to have this losing streak is just not. And look, we're talking about Vanderbilt, right? Because I don't even know what to say about Missouri. You know, their defense is good. I think you talked about that. You said that was kind of one of the things this season that's not being talked about enough. But beyond that, they're 3-4, 1-3 in the league. They can lean on their defense, and that may give them a chance in some of these games they're going to play. They got to go to South
Yeah.
Carolina next weekend. They play Kentucky. Could they do some things that to cause issues for Kentucky? I think so. But beyond that, I don't know what Missouri fans. Well, I kind of know what Missouri fans think about the state of the program, but I just don't know. I mean, you can lean on the defense, but besides that, both of these teams right now, to me, I just don't feel like there's a lot of optimism moving forward. So
No, Brady Cook wasn't that good today. I didn't think the numbers weren't bad. Who I'll tell you got their 2 touchdowns. If you didn't see it, was Luther Burden. They both came early. So there's that. Yeah, I just did not. I don't think either fan base feels really good about the state of things. After that one, that would have meant a lot to Vanderbilt to snap a losing streak, but didn't make it happen. I think what you said was dead on. Gosh, they had Mike Wright in the game the last quarter and a half. I don't think they even used him at all to run, which is his strength. I don't know what more you can say about those. Somebody's asking, Oreo's asking, Tennessee Kentucky prediction. We'll make that formal later. The interesting thing about that game is that Kentucky makes everything close. If it's playing a good team, if it's playing a bad team, it's close. But I don't know if it's got the firepower to score with Tennessee. And remember, that game is in Knoxville.
Yeah, we'll have our full prediction will come out. What is it? That'll be Monday, right? Yeah. We'll have our full prediction video on that will be on Monday. So we'll talk more about that game for sure. But yeah, I mean that's going to be the thing is can Kentucky slow down Tennessee? Can Kentucky? Chris Rodriguez playing well. We know Levis. We know what he's capable of. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kentucky put up some points. But it's like I just want to see somebody slow down Tennessee, and right now I haven't seen it. So like I just want to. That's probably the big thing to look at. But Chris Biggie Bull calling you out.
He's
here.
calling me. I'm trying to figure out who us is. Would us be Kentucky or would us be LSU? I'm guessing it's LSU.
It's got to be LSU. Yeah. By the way, I picked Ole Miss as well. So put that on me too. I was wrong. Yeah. I was wrong on that one.
Biggie, I've had a really hard time getting a handle on your team. I'll be honest.
Not anymore. Don't worry, Biggie. I've got him. We're all going back to the LSU bandwagon now. That's going to be.
Let's recap the last few games. I mean, the big win over Mississippi State, which is losing some luster by the minute. The defensive domination against New Mexico, which couldn't score against you or I. That weird Auburn game.
That was the one that I don't want to say broke me on LSU. Like that's the one I just could not figure out what to do with LSU after that.
Well, and then not showing up against Tennessee.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
So that's that's 2 good games in a row. Look, I mean LSU's got talent. We haven't denied it. We don't quite know what to do with the Tigers.
Well, we do now because they got Jayden Daniels, and that's all I need to know moving forward. So, yeah. I mean, listen, the last 2 games, like I said, they put up 45 points now in back-to-back games. More impressive this week than last week. But, like, I don't know, scoring 45 on the road against Florida, scoring 45 at home against Ole Miss. I mean, they are just – we said it, man. They have just gotten so much better. And it's one of those things, like, if you're just, like, if you love sports, like, it's just – there's something fun about just watching a team just get better. And, like, for LSU, like, they just – it's fun to think about what
LSU
we talked
is
about.
getting a lot better.
I mean, think about what we were talking about after that Florida State game. Think about all the the fire Brian Kelly and like everything. Like it was just. But now it's like think about where we are with LSU. Um, yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Now that's what we talked about, Chris. Like Tennessee rematch is on the table if LSU beats Bama. That's a possible. Tennessee's got to beat Georgia, and of course, win the other games. But yeah, I mean, that's a fun thing to think about.
That
So
is.
fun thing to think
Where
about.
speaking of where are we? Where are we on Texas A&M? A&M's threatening to make this interesting as we're speaking.
Well, listen, you said that earlier, and here's the thing: is I mean, South Carolina returned the opening kickoff, so like anytime you
Yeah.
do that, you got a chance to get off to a great start. And then, of course, they just, I mean, it was quick. Like they just took care of business. Haynes King threw an interception, I think. Um, I just, I don't know. I did not. I think I picked A&M. Given the way my picks have been going this week, I think my Tennessee Alabama pick, Chris, that's like the one I got that one, and now it's just like I'm just gonna get everything wrong from this day forward. Like, it's just I feel like that's how it works, right? Like
But
you get one of those,
that's what makes it fun. I
you
mean, look,
know.
I've been the two that I've been way off on were LSU, Ole Miss, and it was one last week.
Mississippi State, Kentucky.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I just missed it on State.
Well, I missed that one too.
Well, I mean, State's just not looked very good lately, in spite of all the reasons that I have liked them.
Rusty's guy, he's gonna be our t-shirt guy. Rusty's gonna
is.
be in charge of all of our t-shirt quotes.
Rusty Richardson,
right.
director of merchandising.
I say this all the time, you know, Rusty. I just don't know. Like I just don't know.
Maybe Rusty could be our director of technology. That's why I'm
By
wearing
the
the cans
way,
tonight. I could not get. How long did I spend trying to get ear pods to connect?
well,
Or was it
we're a
like,
little behind tonight, but
yeah?
Rusty brings up a good point here, Chris. Did you see this? Liberty just, I mean, they just destroyed BYU today. And we talked about that Arkansas schedule. That Liberty game is not looking fun at the moment because, yeah, what was it 41-14, Rusty? Was that right? I mean,
Sorry,
they just,
I'm jumping topics on you, but Hugh Freeze has got what, one loss?
what now?
Liberty's only lost what, one
Yeah, they're
game this year?
7-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple coaches in that league that are going to end up in bigger jobs. There's several.
Well, A&M may be looking at Hugh Freeze when all said and done. I mean, asking about Jimbo's buyout if they lose this game, and then, I mean, let's look at their schedule real quick because I tried to stay on the A&M bandwagon, guys, but if they lose the South Carolina game, I'm
Well,
done. I can't
the
pick
Carolina game, you could hear us talk about it. That just befuddled us both because I said, I don't know what to think. I'm just going to bank on that Alabama game being sort of a harbinger of A&M's talent coming together.
Yeah.
But Shane Beamer gets the most out of his team week in and week out. And them playing at home, that was just a mystery game to me. And as we're doing this, Carolina's up 17-3, although A&M is inside, I think, what, the 10?
Well, I'd like to see
Are
them
you
score
ahead
a
of me
touchdown.
again?
No, I'm not. I'm watching
Okay.
Bama and Mississippi State right now. It's 24-0, but I always say I like to watch just teams just do their thing, and Bama's doing their thing right now.
State just never shows up for that game.
Yeah, it's just this series history is just it's just kind of it's interesting to think about. Here's A&M's rest of the schedule, by the way. They got Ole Miss at home next week. I don't feel great about that one. Probably they got Florida at home the next week. I think that's another like this South Carolina game. I probably don't know what to make of that one. They go to Auburn. Add that to the list. I don't know what to make of that one either. Then they got LSU at home to end the season, which I think right now I'd take LSU by a touchdown or more. So yeah, I don't. A&M's probably still going to lose a couple the rest of the way, Chris. That would be my projection if you're Vegas, right? They're going to lose at least a couple more somewhere, maybe more than 3. I don't know. We'll see. But
this may be the play of the game right here. A&M's got it 4th and 2. Oh no, they're kicking. Okay, I thought with the time that they've been taking to run this play and the timeout that they might be going for it. But yeah, A&M, try this on for size. A&M going 5-7. How about that?
That buyouts, they're going to bring in anybody and everybody to get that money in there to. Listen, if they go 5-7, I don't know how. I mean, you want to talk about there's your ultimate justification for spending that amount of money, but yeah, I don't know what they do at that point. So
try this on for size. A&M loses tonight, loses next week and gets Ole Miss, loses to Florida, and then Auburn beats A&M on the 12th in the Brian Harsin Bowl.
I don't.
I'm just throwing this out because I'm looking at the rest of the schedule. And I'm like, how interesting could that be? By the way, A&M did kick the field goal, so
I think they should have went for the touchdown at this rate.
I do too.
I don't feel great about their. Yeah, I don't know. So we're saying all this as always. This is a live stream, so people watch this back and they can have fun with it. So, yeah. So we'll see. But, by the way, if LSU fans, if you're in here, we did talk about the game a few minutes ago. So you can go back and listen to our thoughts on that. And Chris and I can tell you how wrong we were. Blayne's going to have some fun with us this week because
yes,
Blayne's been he's had a good week picks wise. So this is Blayne's week. Again, my victory lap capped off last week with Tennessee and Alabama, but my guess is I'll probably go about 3 for 27 the rest of the way this season. So do the George Costanza. If I pick something, do the opposite, and you'll be fine. So, yeah, I was kind of halfway kidding. I think you probably take the points for A&M. You need all the points you can get at this point. So,
well, the thing is, how much do you trust that offense to get into scoring position time and time again?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing too. I guess if you don't like, that's such a it is early, and it's just like I don't know. I think you still take. I mean, it makes it a 2-possession game, right? So,
yeah,
but it already is, right? Either way, so I'm okay with it. But.
Well, they do have Devin Achane, who can break one from anywhere on the field at any point in time, and that helps.
And their defense can give them a short field, which we've seen happen many times.
Well,
before,
and let's not forget who is quarterbacking for South Carolina.
Yeah. So Rodney not high on.
There's a lot of super interesting games from here on out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if we look ahead, and by the way, if you're in this here now and you've not subscribed, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. You can also leave a super chat, little heart sign down there. It's got a dollar sign on it. Leave us a nice super chat. That just helps us donates, helps us make more videos. And we do our prediction videos for the following week's games every Monday. So if you're talking about some upcoming games, we will, especially next week. Let me just quickly run through the schedule here next week. We'll also probably do something, Chris. My guess is tomorrow with some thoughts on this Alabama, Mississippi State, South Carolina A&M. But we'll certainly let you guys know about that. Next week, we got Arkansas at Auburn, Florida against Georgia, Missouri at South Carolina, Kentucky at Tennessee, and Ole Miss at A&M. So, yeah, some interesting matchups next week too. So we appreciate that, Biggie, for subscribing to the channel. And yeah, we have all of our prediction videos for the following week's games comes out every Monday. We do our update on the Wednesday night live stream. So every Wednesday night we have a live stream. So that's something fun you can look forward to. And then on just a lot of stuff throughout the week to get you guys ready for the weekend games. So
yeah, and if you are new to this channel, we do football, baseball, and basketball. We are SEC only. We cover it top to bottom. So if you like football, we don't come close to stopping at that. Boy, the schedule 2 weeks from now, November 5th, Blake, my goodness. Alabama at LSU, Arkansas and Liberty, Auburn at Mississippi State, Florida at A&M, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky at Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, LSU is. I mean, that's an SEC championship play-in game. Like those are that's like a four-team tournament there at that point. Again, depending on if everything turns out that way. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Tennessee still got to beat Kentucky, and all those things. So, but I mean, that could be the setup. So we'll see. Georgia got to beat Florida. So, yeah, so it's a lot of fun stuff to think about there. So, all
A&M
right,
Ole Miss
guys.
could be interesting next week too, just based on how
Yeah.
teams respond.
Well, my interest in A&M games is starting to head in the wrong direction if they lose this one. So,
Oh, see,
um,
I think A&M is interesting every week
well,
because even if the losses pile up, it gets that more interesting in College Station.
well, that's true. So, um, yeah, we'll see. So, all right, guys, as always, we're going to probably hop off here in about 5 minutes or so, is my guess, Chris. So, anything you want to talk about, get your questions, comments, super chats in, and we will discuss it real quick. Like we mentioned, we'll probably have something tomorrow. If not, then we will go right into our previews for what's it going to be? Week 9, Chris? Week 9? My goodness. Or is it week 8 next week? Week 9, right?
This is week 8.
Jeez. So there you go. So yeah, just let us know. Rusty. When is that, Rusty? When's the Arkansas Texas exhibition game?
Rusty still got football.
Yeah, come on, Arkansas's
Uh,
strong finish maybe here. So
by the way, in SEC basketball exhibitions or secret scrimmages, Georgia Tech beat Vandy today, I heard.
secret scrimmages. My
Secret
goodness.
scrimmages. It was so secret that Kelly Quinlan, who's on the beat down at Georgia Tech, tweeted out the final when it was over.
Yeah, a lot of secret scrimmages. By the way, if you do care about basketball, we did do like a big video this week on our reaction to the media poll and all that stuff. So that's there. But I guess there's a lot of you guys are here for the football, and that is perfectly fine as well. So anything else, Chris, before we wrap it up and go watch the rest of this one-sided game in Alabama, Mississippi State, and who knows what's going to happen in South Carolina A&M. So
Yeah, I'm fascinated with this Carolina A&M game. Have been all week. Still am as I'm watching it. But hats off to LSU. I tell you what, 9-3 now. I don't know. Is that the most likely outcome for LSU?
Well, if I could find their schedule, I could tell
Well,
you.
here's what they've got. Off next week, hosting Alabama at Arkansas, UAB at A&M. I'm not going to concede that Arkansas game,
We don't
especially
get
on the
ahead of
road.
ourselves. I think if we've learned anything,
No.
Chris, we should not get ahead of ourselves anywhere in SEC football this season because there have been too many games that, yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself just yet.
Man, the schedule the rest of the way in this league is just tremendous.
So
Almost every game I have some interest in.
yeah,
I mean, I know all eyes are going to be on Tennessee, Georgia in a couple weeks, but I would like Kentucky, Tennessee. I would like that as a more interesting game if that were in Lexington. I
maybe,
just don't think Kentucky's got enough on offense to keep up with Tennessee, and that's kind of a problem when you play the balls.
maybe. Yeah, I mean LSU controls their destiny. Yeah, I mean if they beat Bama and they went out, they're your SEC West champions. So yeah, LSU is that's it. Like there's your formula for success right there. Which again, beating Bama is going to be easier said than done. Um, I wish ESPN would update Jayden Daniels' stats for the season because I don't think they're updated from what they have right now, but um, they're pretty incredible when you think about it. So
SEC Sports usually has those updated by in the morning.
well, I'm fairly certain he now has 12 touchdowns. If I can, again, I can't add. Rusty can put the quote back up about me and a mathematician, but I cannot add, period. Yeah, 12 passing touchdowns. He has 9 rushing touchdowns, 21 touchdowns to 1 interception. I mean, it's just and his completion percentage, that's something else I talked about with Jayden Daniels. When I said, I don't know if he's getting enough credit. I put him on my midseason awards list as my most underrated player, even though he's coming off a 6 touchdown game. I know how ludicrous that sounds, but um, he's just efficient, man. He is just very, very efficient. And I just think that's he's something. So
Okay, LSU's official site has updated his stats for the year. He's run 113 for 524, 9 scores.
Yep.
He has thrown, he's 165 at 236. He's only thrown one pick, Blayne. One pick.
Yeah.
That's Hendon Hooker territory, completing 70% of his throws, 1,812 yards, 12 scores.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best players in the SEC at this point. So I think that's not even a debate. It's just it is.
I mean,
what
right now, off the top of my head, he's probably had the best season of anybody not named Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker, Bryce
Well,
Young,
I mean, Bryce
Jayden
Young is up
Daniels,
there, but
and I again don't knock Stetson Bennett. Everybody, I know nobody wants
yeah.
to, but he's still been pretty good. So, but Jayden Daniels is skyrocketing up the SEC best players list right now based on what he's done. I mean, 11 touchdowns past 2 weeks. Come on.
Well,
So
and before people Bryce Young me, I know Bryce Young is a better player. I get that, but he has missed a game and a half, and that sort of matters in a 12-game season.
yep.
Not a statement about Bryce Young. It's just about the seasons that these kids have had.
We are Bryce Young fans here.
Oh,
We
big.
think he's pretty good. As the reigning Heisman
the most overlooked thing of the year might be the way he played in Knoxville last week, which would have been talked about all week had Alabama won that game.
Well, listen, if you watched that game and that was not the conclusion you came to, then I don't know what you're watching, because he was a magician in that game, and Tennessee still won the game. So, all right, Chris, anything else? Wrap it up, and we will. We're at halftime here at Bama, Mississippi State, and we will settle in for the South Carolina A&M game.
No, we will. We may do something late tonight, although probably not after these games.
Probably be tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what we usually do. We usually wrap up the late games on Sunday night. We'll have our power rankings. We might do power rankings live tomorrow night. We never do that live, but we could. Or we could save it to Monday. We'll make a decision on that. That way people could heckle us as we're making
Well, they're going to heckle us no matter what.
Yeah, but it's more fun to heckle someone live.
Way to set us up for failure there.
Yeah, well, I couldn't connect my earpods tonight, so I'm, it's just not my weekend.
I hear you. By the way, if you're in here, hit that like button real quick before you guys hop off. Do us a favor. That helps our channel out. So hit that like button, hit subscribe. All right, Chris, continue.
Well, I was going to say, we've got to double down because we've got football and we've got a lot of basketball stuff to do between here and opening night, which is now, 16 nights away?
Yeah, we got season previews coming. We've almost done half
Monday.
Almost done half the teams. We'll get to the other half probably over the next week and a half. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we will probably have something tomorrow night, and then we get more content that's rolling out early Monday morning. And then we'll have all kinds of stuff next week as we preview the football games, again, do some hoop stuff and whatever else comes our way. Live show every Wednesday night, too. Those are always fun and interactive. They are listener-driven. We spend a lot of our time answering your comments and your questions. And hopefully, our goal is to very soon come with a daily show. So we're working on the final pieces for that.
Hit that subscribe button.
Okay. Blake, any parting thoughts?
Nope. We will, again, we'll have something for you tomorrow. Predictions Monday, power rankings, all that good stuff. So, yeah, hit subscribe and turn on those notifications. That way you know when we do go live, you will know about it. So,
yeah. Thank you, everybody, for watching. God bless you. Have a safe rest of your weekend, and we'll see you again soon at Southeastern 14.